Hello and welcome to VFX Talks, a show about leadership and development in the VFX industry. My name is Alfred Lindahl, and today I'm joined by compositing supervisor Eduardo Parra. Eduardo has spent over 10 years in different VFX studios in Canada and is currently at Ingenuity Studios in Vancouver. His long resume includes films and TV series like The Meg, Away, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Man in the High Castle, Vikings and True Blood. In this conversation, we focus a lot on communication and leadership, and Eduardo shares some great insights on expressing gratitude as a leader, knowing when to let go of something, and he also shares how he supports and communicates with his team. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Eduardo Parra. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining me. Why don't you start by introducing yourself a bit first, so we get some, like, who you are, where you're working.
For sure.
A brief overview of
Yeah,
your career.
thank you so much, Alfred, for having me. It's actually a pleasure being here and being part of your project. And yeah, let's do this. Well, my name is Eduardo Parra. I'm a visual effects compositor supervisor at Ingenuity Studios. It's a studio located in Los Angeles, and also we have facilities in New York and Vancouver. Actually, I'm right now in Vancouver, working from home, and we are located pretty much everywhere. Also, because we are a remote company. I mean, I've been working in this industry for around 10 years. I came to Vancouver when I was a little kid, around 19, and I just came with a dream of becoming a well, actually, at that time, it wasn't even like I wanted to become a VFX artist, because I didn't really know much about the industry. I just wanted to work in video games. That was the main thing I was pursuing, work in the video game industry. But, destiny took me out of the road and directed me towards the VFX. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, long stories, but that's where we are right now. And yeah.
And what was your path from, like, when you first started out and now you're a compositing supervisor? What was the, like, steps and the companies you worked at and stuff like that?
So, after school, I luckily I got a job at Soik Studios as a roto artist. It's the main entry level, and then eventually, after 3 months, I moved to junior compositing. So from Soik, I moved to Prime Focus, and Prime Focus, I was there for almost a year, and then they sold the company, so they had to lay off a lot of people, and I ended up going to MPC. From MPC, I went to Mr. X in Toronto. I was there for also about a year, and then I came back to Vancouver to work at Double Negative for another year, working with projects with very cool people. After that, I had the opportunity to move to Fuse FX, where I was there for a little bit, working in TV mainly. From Fuse, I think I went to, I don't remember, man. It's been a long time, but I moved to Umedia. Umedia is actually a company based in Brussels, and they had this little project of opening a studio in Vancouver. The studio was here for not even a year. Like that was unfortunately, it was a project that failed, but I was really happy to be part of, because it was like they offer like this new concept of like what a studio should be, and it was in ways of how it operated, but probably financially it wasn't. So they had to pull the plugs, and it dissolved. And then from there, I moved to another company called Barnstorm. In the meantime, between those transitions, I did a little bit of gigs, MPC. I went back to MPC, to another little like studio freelancing, and then eventually I moved to Barnstorm, where I was there for almost a year. And from there, after I finished working there, I moved to where I am now. Sorry, which is Ingenuity. Yeah, and I've been here almost 3 years. Yeah, so
Cool.
it's been. I mean, all of that also, of course, I'm resuming it in like a little talk, but it's been years of jumping here and there, and meeting great people, working in cool projects. But that's like the brief that I can give you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. But I got really interested by that quote, like what a company should be. What did they do like, the right way?
Right. Yeah. So, after my process of being in big companies, and this is also personal, right? Like, once you start working in a lot of studios and you start knowing people, um, and you know what you want, you kind of know what you're looking for. I would say it's like looking a partner, looking
Yeah.
for for your spouse or just your partner. Um,
Yeah.
but in that case, I was just looking for uh, a company that pays well, of course. That was kind of important. That was flexible with the schedule, and with flexible, I don't mean like, oh, I'm just gonna work my hours. No, but it was like, you know, uh, today I need to do this, I need to do that. Since I'm a dad, I have a family. Sometimes in a city like Vancouver, it's hard to keep up by by yourself. It's you need to be part of your family and involved, so everything runs, because you have to do everything on your own pretty much.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, I was looking for that, as a place where they had that well established, like they understood that, the projects as well, the team. That was the main thing. The team, the people that we have around there was pretty talented. A bunch of people that are working really really big projects, and have been in the industry for years as well. So the team itself, it was really well experienced, and everyone compounded into you know everyone had like a special role that will be effective by when executing something. And everything, the social gatherings, the time, also the working time. We barely worked some like overtime there, because we were organized. We knew well, management knew how to manage the schedules. And when the overtime came, it was kind of minimal, to be honest. And it was very like, hey, just also the micromanagement, it didn't really exist. It was basically like, hey, this is your work, this is what you do, we have these days to deliver, these are the dailies. Everything was like set up in a way that you will have a time and a chance to do your thing, deliver, and then eventually, that was the whole process. So it became really, really smooth. Like, everything was, you are an adult, so you can do your thing at your pace, at your time, once you deliver results, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like the whole combination. Like, it's probably hard to understand, because maybe some places can say like, "Oh, I have that," but and maybe they are like, I'm not saying that, but right now I have that also in the studio where I'm working. So it also depends on what you're looking for as an artist and as a professional. Some people, they just look for big projects. They don't really care about how much they work. And some people, they just want to chill. Maybe they just do like a little bit of gigs here and there. They try to cut. It depends on what you want. But for me, that was kind of like my perfect place um to be. But it was cool
Yeah.
while it lasted. So yeah.
It sounds like a dream.
Yeah, a little bit.
And since I'm really interested in leadership, like how was the leadership in that place, and what did they do differently than all the other companies that are trying to have that but
Yeah.
not
Well,
succeeding?
I mean, at At that studio, I wasn't working as a lead, but I had a really good lead, like supervisor and lead. Actually, one of them is McEvan. Probably, he's well known in the industry just because of all the newsletters and tutorials and help that he has given to a bunch of artists. So he was my lead at that time. Um,
Yeah.
and at that time, I will say we were not as experienced as now, because that was like what, like 5 years ago or something, four maybe. And I think at that time he was kind of starting in that role. But I had him. I have also Freddy Chavez, who's a really close friend of mine, family member, and we've been working together. It's always good to to hang with people that always give you something positive. And these people, they always help me, giving me a lot of knowledge and a lot of support as well. But talking in the case of Evan, he was always, he was the communication. I think is the most important thing when it comes to a leadership, because you need to communicate of the needs to achieve the goals, pretty much. It's a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others, so then you can achieve goals. So in his case, he was also really well technical, super technical guy, and I think it's really good to have, especially in what I do, which is compositing, to have a balance between the technicality and the creativity, because I think those together will, if you're an artist that have a little bit of both, you can, always overcome pretty much any situation. With Freddie, actually, we always say that there are two types of artists in this industry: the technicals and the artistic, right? So I consider myself more artistic, like I'm more creative. But there are also other people that are super technical, that they like to do, programming and, crazy stuff within the scripts and stuff like that, that will facilitate and will smooth the workflow. But there are other people that like more like the creativity, like they don't really care, what type of tools they use, as long as it looks cool, the final product, they will just go for that. And I think it's
Yeah.
it's good to have a little bit of both. So with Ben,
Yeah.
he
Definitely.
had that, the influence of him on how to, on when something wasn't right, and then he coming in and explaining you on why it wasn't working and how you can make it work. It was great, because you always have to keep learning, even if you're the guy that's been in the industry for forever, like for 30 years. There is always something new you're gonna learn from anyone. So
Yeah.
you have to be humble, and let that in. Just be like, okay, like, let me know why it's not working, and then he will explain you. And if there is something you don't agree, then open the discussion on why that's not right, or why, or how things can get better. But at the end, it's that, the empathy as well, and the respect, pretty much. I will say those are the type of things that leaders should have, because that's the main those are the main channels of keeping everything running. When you don't have a good leader in a project, things can go south, and no one's gonna like it. Like, I've been in those situations where, whoever was in charge of the show or the project didn't really know what he was doing, or how communicate properly, or how to connect with their team. And it's like a football, like, well, soccer for for a lot of people. It's like a soccer team. If someone doesn't do their job, and the captain cannot communicate, and how do you say, like, make them, just transmit that message of, yeah, let's do this, we can do this, we can win. Probably things are not gonna, like, the most secure thing is that you're not gonna be winning that game. or you're gonna be having a lot of issues in the transition of trying to. So
Yeah.
yeah, in that case, that was pretty cool. From the influence of leaders that I had, and I can talk
Yeah.
about many others from other studios, but I will say that.
No, but let's just dive into this leadership thing. Like, what's now you've already touched on a lot of things, but
Mhm.
what do you think is what is the role of a leader? Like, if we do more like a lead or a supervisor in a VFX studio, what's
Yeah.
their actual role?
So as a supervisor and lead, I think when you have that structure in your company, the main thing you need to be aware and make sure is that those two are compatible, like they can work together. I will put it that as I started, because those are the persons, or sorry, the people that are gonna make the show keep running. You know, if you don't have someone to drive the boat, you don't have anywhere to go. It's like, how are you gonna make things happen? So first of all, it's like having them communicate, knowing what are they gonna do, how the things are gonna be operating, what the lead is gonna be in charge of, how the supervisor is gonna be putting the time into, and what the things, how is he gonna be making sure that your leads also are okay, and from them, transmit that message to the artist. It's like a chain. And a lot of, when I was an artist, I didn't really understood a lot of things, like when you are starting, or just doing your own thing. As an artist, as a compositor artist, you just go do your thing. Probably you don't really know what's happening behind, in the behind. You don't really have a big idea, but there are many things happening, from client calls to like organizing shots, bidding, scheduling. One problem that we find out, I think it's industry wide, it's the lack of artists. There's right now, locally, for everyone, there is so much work around that it's hard to keep up with hiring, the exact level of artists and expertise, because you can get a lot of there's a lot of people graduating, but also you need people that it's experience, and people that it's been in industry as a mid-level and then junior level, so you can level your teams and kind of spread the work evenly, and so everything goes, because also that influences into your budget. Like, you cannot be hiring just like senior or supervisors, because it's like, unless you have the money, right? But a lot of studios try to even that, and also help people growing within the studio. But in this case, I'm going to talk about my case. I have a project right now that I'm working on. I have about 3 leads, actually 4 leads, that I have to keep always communicating with them. And it turns, for me as a supervisor right now, it turns a little bit into like, also like, psychological therapy in a way, from me to them, and them to me, because if you have, like, we have like around 700 shots, it's a big show, and the delivery, it's probably pretty soon. So we have to, everyone has to be aware of the situation, the level of complexity that this takes, and also it turns into like a really technical work and a really creative work. So having the leads, understanding what they are doing, and you guiding them pretty much on, like, hey, for these specific tasks, you need to do this. We need to talk to the artist. We need to do this and that. So it becomes like a coaching a little bit, and support. And for me right now, what I'm doing a lot of is that support. It's trying to, first of all, give them that security, that and support, that they are not they are doing their best, and that's something that I can see on them. Right, they do their best, and try to maximize that potential on what they have, in a way that also doesn't burn them. I'm a really open person, and I understand the situations when we need to do overtime to achieve something. But also I understand the situations where I'm like, okay, you've worked too much. just go take the day off, or let's have this time down. And I give them a lot of to choose. Like I'm not someone that I'll be like, oh, I want you working 24/7. No, I will never do that, because I've been there, and no one gave me that opportunity. Like for me, I'm trying to become the supervisor that or lead that I've never had, which happened like many times, especially in big studios. In big studios, something I've noticed is that, or something that I experience is that there's so many people, so many shows that sometimes it's hard to like even communicate or have the time to talk to your lead or your supervisor, because there is so much going on that people just go. And also people, when you get hired, people expect that you do your work 100%, but many times that's not the case, because there is something always that like no, like all as an artist, you don't know everything, even if you're the most experienced. Probably you have you like there. I'm sure that there are people that they are at that level where they know pretty much everything, but I mean, it's how many can be there out there? It's there are a few, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to also become a little bit of a mentor, a little bit of a instructor, teacher, so to show techniques, to show even on how the pipeline works. If you have new recruits or new people coming to the studio, you have to show them and teach them how the things work in your studio. So they wouldn't know that. So in that case, you have to be to teach them on how to use the pipeline.
Yeah.
So as the main is that it's like being able to connect with them first of all, and then from them how to take them on that journey on taking care of the artist. So, and it's a message that translates, and it's hard, to be honest. It's hard because a lot of people, like, first of all, something I've noticed is that not everyone is born to be a leader, because for the main thing for me is communication. And if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to express, if you don't know how to like transmit a message, it's gonna be super hard for you to connect with anyone. Now,
Is that something you can learn?
it's something you can learn, of course. Yeah, like there is something you can learn. And then for me, I've learned from people that gave me that before. And even the people that I learned from, like, as their personalities were not that extroverted. Is that how you say? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they were more like introverts, like people like they are really shy and they don't really talk too much. But when the time came to like to express something, to communicate a message, or just checking a shot, checking a sequence, checking something that they needed, they became really well, in that matter. Like the communication was pretty much flawless, and they you can understand and they can explain you why the things why things were happening that way and how to correct them. Then you go to your thing, probably some stuff was not going to be 100% correct, so then you will have iterations with it until the final result. But that was pretty much it for me, like learning on how to. Oh, my camera went off. It came back. There you go. Yeah. So it was pretty much that. Like, it's pretty much that, how to communicate, how to be able to express what your needs are, so then they can take that in, process, and try to execute. And yeah, it's hard. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect doing that. Like, by no means. Probably there is a lot of things that I'm still learning. I still have to like practice and keep going. But it's something that you daily go and put in practice and try to perfect it until eventually it's just smooth and yeah, it's pretty much that, like, practice because at the end it's like two channels. It's like communication, the yeah communication the people who receives that.
Yeah.
So the source and the receiver, pretty much. And sometimes people don't even understand what you're saying, especially, people from all around the world. I will say also, all these people having this having different languages, and um, sometimes it's hard when you're trying to say it in English or in another language, like French, or like the main languages are spoken in this industry, sometimes are hard to understand, and have people taking that in.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, in general, is that, I would say.
And one thing that I like, I listened to a podcast just a few days ago about introverted leaders, which was
Mhm,
really, really interesting. And I think that's something that's, like, me being pretty introverted myself, I find it
mhm,
really, really fascinating. And they talked about how, if you're an introvert, like, you're not speaking all the time, you're not the loud one in the meetings, but when you speak, you know what you're talking
exactly.
about, and then
Yeah,
that really builds trust, and that you can really be more authentic than someone that just needs to talk all the time. And
exactly.
that, I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
Yeah, and at the end, it as, in your role, you have to be professional, and as you said, like, if can you learn how how to be a lead, how to communicate? Yeah, because eventually, if you know that you have, if those skills are not flawless for you and you have to improve, then there is always, like, courses, books that you can read. Like, I will say, you have to educate yourself to improve in that matter. um, so if you know you have that, that's already a win for you, because then um, that you are missing something. You know that you are missing something, and you need to get better at it. So then, if you know that you are missing something, just go and try to learn from someone, learn from somewhere, and improve on it.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. Like, if you want to become whatever, I don't know, a pianist, and you don't know how to play, then you just go and go and learn.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's a skill, definitely. It's a super important skill that you need to have,
Yeah.
because otherwise, how would you, right? How would you
Yeah.
move forward with your team? It's yeah, it's it's and also it's subjective, because there's people that, um, maybe they've worked together many times, and they don't really have to communicate, because they already know their roles and how things work. That's also, but that's something that takes years
Yeah.
to master.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm talking more about, joining new teams, and the standard, right? Like,
Yeah.
you jump from one project to another, so eventually you're going to be working with a lot of people from different backgrounds, from different ways of communicating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
But
it's pretty. I enjoy it a lot.
cool. But let's come back to, like, now when you're working with, you said, four leads. Like,
Mhm.
how often do you talk to them, or, like, do you talk to the entire team with the artists as well, or how do you do that?
Right. So, I mean, right now, because we're working remotely, it's something that you didn't like, something that you have at a studio. It was, you have direct access to anyone, so you can just basically go to their seat and just talk to them. In this case, everyone is from home on their own computers, using their headphones on their own world in their houses, and I will say that will depend on project phases and how the studio wants to manage it. In general, like in the studios, I don't really know how the other studios operate, but in my case, I have pretty much freedom on how to control that, on how I want to do things. For this specific project, since it's a really big one, we have a lot of stuff to do. I knew that communication was gonna be a key. So we have pretty much communication every day, every half an hour, in terms of, probably texting, like chatting. but at least once a day we have 1 hour meeting. So I set schedules on. Basically, we have dailies, once a day, for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, where we just go through what we have and we talk about pretty much everything. That's from the lead to the artist level, just giving direction to the artist, trying to know them, trying to see what they are working on, how their updates and work in progress is going. And then from the production standard point, I will say that from all of the shows that I've been working at the studio, I will say this is the one that I have more communication with my team, because I knew since the beginning that was going to be needed. Like, also as a leader or as a supervisor, it's important that you can recognize when trouble is going to be coming, so you have to be one step ahead. And I knew that I needed to create some specific workflows and ways of communication and channels of communication, so things could be as clear as the water. But also, I'm not saying that that's 100%, because there's always going to be issues. There is always going to be problems that you need to resolve, or sorry, that you need to solve. But at the end is try to minimize those things to the minimum, so you don't take all your time doesn't go into solving those. Let's say if by not doing me the correct thing and communicating properly, I will be getting 100 problems a day. I will say try to minimize it to like 10, at least. But that's really important. So for me, was to create those workflows on, we need to have dailies, we need to have production meetings, we need to have one-on-one with my leads, and also make me available, let them know that you cannot talk to me. It's like, hey, you can talk to me anytime, feel free. And I'm always open to that. And but that depends on the other side, if they want to if they want to take that. And it goes to, a lot of people is shy, a lot of people, or maybe just people, they're just busy with doing things and they don't really have the time to talk to you. I don't know, that's kind of it will be hard to say, because I don't really know how they think. But when it comes to like taking care of a show and taking care of the stuff that you need to put out there and finalize and deliver, at the end, it's your responsibility as well. If you see something that is not working, you need to identify why it's not working. Come to the people, like come to the artist or the lead, and ask them, like, hey, why is this happening? Are you having issues? And that's also one thing. Is just like when you approach someone, try to understand the situation on why things are not working as expected, and then they will they will give you the explanation, and from there you can digest that, think, and propose something or help. And also try to know your team as much as possible. Like, you will know that there are people that are good at something, and but in other areas they are not that great. So then you have to also need to identify and be good at it. On, okay, I'm not gonna put this guy to do these tasks if I know that he's not good at it, or he, and that's not something wrong. It's actually something I encourage to people to tell me. It's like, hey, I love to do set extensions, for example, and then you will have that guy assigning him set extensions. If he's telling you that he's not good at doing something else, like, why would you put him in that situation?
Yeah.
Of course, when the time comes on, like, oh, I need someone to do it and we don't have something else, then yeah, maybe you will talk to him and put him up to the task. But try to accommodate, try to put people. It's also a strategical system where try to identify where they are good at it, and locate the people in the correct task.
Yeah.
And then from there, start rolling. Because yeah, I've seen where people is really good at doing something and delivering, like, 3 shots a day or something like that, or sending a lot of stuff, a lot of shots to dailies. And then other people that maybe are not are not good, are not great at what they are doing, or it's something are learning, and it's taking them more time, I'll just try to go back and be like, hey, any issues, let me know. I can show you a few techniques, or you can talk to your lead, prefer. Also, we have this Bible where we have all the information on how things should be looking, so they can always refer. They have like a point of reference. Um, and that's something that we try to keep updated every day as things go, or client changes come. um, but yeah, I mean, it's basically that. It's trying to make create workflows and systems where you minimize issues, pretty
Yeah.
much, because the issues you're gonna get for sure, like every day, every time. If it's not something within the show, it could be something within the pipeline, or missing a tool, or something that you need that you don't have. So you know it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
And also,
um,
when we talked a bit before, like, you have grown the studio quite a bit, and like, bringing in a lot of people remotely. And how does that affect all this? Like,
yeah.
how does that affect your role as a leader? How do you have to deal with like new people that are not coming in, sitting next to everyone? Like, how do you keep the good communication and the culture and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I would say, as I said, I think this is like I've talked to many friends around around the industry, in other studios, and they are having the same issue, where it's hard to get people just at any level right now. Like, it has become a worldwide issue, I would say. But yeah, so in our case, the studio went from like, what was it, like maybe 1 year and a half ago, or 2 years, uh beginning of the pandemic, we were a team, like in the compositing department, we were a team of probably 30, 40 people, studio wide, like in all the facilities. Because also that's something that happened, that before, it was just like Vancouver was their own entity kind of thing. We didn't really work much with the other studios. But right now, since we became like online, and we have people all around the world, we can basically work with anyone, within wherever they are. So, and that's something I enjoy, because also I got to know people from the other side of the country, from other places. But also, it is a little bit challenging to, what you're saying, trying to get to know them, trying to connect. Because, I mean, just think about, like, if you're trying to get if oh, okay, so let me just go back a little bit, and then I'll get to my point. So we grew up the team from 50 people to like 160, so almost, three times what we had. And it's because we needed it. We just needed to get more people. And we started getting a lot of work, which that's good. And then, in my case, I will say that, from my supervision perspective, is, it has been the journey on just establishing workflows that before we didn't have, because we didn't have that many people. We knew each other, as I said, like with small studios. You get to know each other, you get to know how they work, so you don't really need to talk to them much on how to do things, because you know what to expect from that person. But from someone that is new, you don't know, so you have to put them to the test. Send them a little bit of work, see how they are doing. And it's that iteration, basically, on like, oh, wow, this is not what I was expecting. Or the other way, it's like, oh my god, this is way better. So then you can put an eye on that artist, or that specific person, or that task that they are doing, and be like, okay, yeah, this is looking good, this is looking great. And then it starts catching your eye. And also, that's I will say, that's a skill that you have to develop, on how to how to identify when you have a potential leader, or when you have a potential artist that it's probably you can grow him up to like becoming like this monster, and try
Yeah.
to show them, or maybe you're not gonna show them everything, but you can direct him, or give him some direction on, hey, I see that you're doing this really well. Why don't you take a look at maybe these websites, these places, these books, these whatever, or just give them reference on, oh, check out this movie where they did this visual effect. Maybe try to do something similar, where we use a little bit of those elements to make this image look cool.
Yeah.
So it's also that encourage of try to do this, because I think you will be good at it, because you see potential in them.
Yeah.
And also learn to listen on. I will talk in a specific case. Like I have a lead right now that he's the one that offered to become a lead. We didn't really have many. We were looking for people, and since we couldn't find, he kind of a step up, and he was like, "Hey, I want to become a lead. Like it's something I'm looking for." And I was like, "Perfect. Like if you are driven to do it, then why not try it? Like let's see how it goes." And yeah, he ended up being, he's still learning and stuff, but you know he achieved and he accomplished what we were looking for at that point. So that was so much help. But it's also that, like, he was just inspired and driven by, I want to do this, I want to be part of this, I want to help. So how can I do it? And he was like, for sure, man. Let's see how it goes, and then that's better than nothing. So let's just go for it, and
Yeah.
risk as well. The risk on, because at the end, if that didn't work, I will have to probably jump in or take care of what that of that specific task that
Yeah.
wasn't finished, or wasn't expected to become what it came. But at the end, yeah, things have been working pretty well. And as I said, issues you're gonna have many through the day, through the year, whatever. But it's just trying to minimize them as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I will say that was just to like kind of close that point. Like growing the studio, it's been difficult in that matter, on just identifying how to work, establishing workflows, and I will say, like, we are still learning. We're still trying to get better at it, and also taking information from people that are coming from other studios that have references that, hey, I remember at this studio where we have this specific way of doing things that kind of works. And then we will go and be like, okay, maybe let's just give it a shot, see how it works, kind of make a proposal and see if that will be compatible within our expectations, or within our pipeline. And if that doesn't work, we'll just go to the next one. And that, so you have to be open, you have to listen to people, especially experienced people, because probably they've been doing this for a while. And but yeah,
Yeah.
it's been challenging, but it has been also exciting. And it's also something that at least at me keeps me going, like, oh, we can do this better, we can get better. Because yeah, there is a lot of potential out there. And for me, my dream is to build like a really, really solid team wherever I am. Like, it doesn't have to be at this place or other. It could be anyone. But just try to put people together that connect and that can achieve greatness, if you want to call it like that, at the end of a show.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's but it's a lot of work. You have to be able to identify who and how. But yeah,
Yeah. And then
hopefully it happens.
you have to dare to like trust someone and to give them the responsibility. As you said, if they
Exactly.
fail, then you have to do more work. But
Exactly.
I guess
Yeah.
as a leader,
Yeah. You
like a big part is like taking the chance on people, because if you're doing everything yourself, you won't be able to
Oh yeah.
do a big
Oh
show.
no, man. It's impossible. Like I'm not even trying to. I don't wanna even intend to do that. Like oh, it's just me. No, never. It's not gonna. It's actually the other way. It's like if I don't have my team, if I don't have people, we'll be screwed. Like that. That's the people that need to take the credit. Like you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a hard thing for new leads and like supervisors to get their head around, that they can't be in control of everything, that they need to, like, okay, I need to let
Exactly.
go and take a leap of faith.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's pretty. That's for sure. Like I know people that get really attached to the things and situations that I'm like, man, you have to just close that and move on. And I would say, yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for mentioning it. But yeah, I would say that's also a skill to have. Within the leadering package, you have to know when you can, like, a situation or something that is happening, when to take it further or when to let it go. Like that's so true. It's really important too, because like there are people that they can get stuck in one issue. I had a particular story about it. Like when I'm not gonna I'm not gonna mention the studio, neither the person, but it was a big show. It was like I will say it was like this massive movie, and one of the leads had that he got really stuck with one particular. It was like a pipeline tool that he wanted to implement that will help the studio to finish the show, and the tool was great. Like the specific the thing that tool will achieve, it technically, if it would have worked, it could have helped everyone, but at the end it didn't. Like it failed massively. But he got stuck to it, and then he didn't want to let go of that, and the show went nuts. But
Yeah.
it was like, man, just let it go, and let's just go and do what we know, and try to organize things the way we know. Like, I know you want to make this work, but this is not the time. This is not the this is not the time to do it. Like we have like 2 weeks or 3 weeks to deliver. We are, people is dying. Like we've been burned out by time, working so much that, yeah, like, let's just finish this. And yeah,
Yeah.
things didn't, you know it was a failure completely, and that's because our leader didn't let go of specific things that he needed and move on. And you know
Yeah, and
so
I
yeah.
think that is something that I struggle with, to let go. Especially, like, I really recognize myself in that situation, because I'm more of
Mhm.
a technical guy, so I like to do scripts and weird setups, and it can go like, you spend like days or weeks before you see any result, so you don't know if
Yeah,
it's gonna work. So it's like really a gamble. Will I be able to finish everything on the last day, when I just
exactly.
hit submit or apply or whatever?
Yeah,
So that's, yeah. And it's super hard to not get attached when you
I
spend a
know.
lot of time.
Yeah, and I had that a lot when I was working as an artist. Like, I will have like that, specifically like a situation where I'm like, oh, I'm trying this tool or this technique to achieve something, and it's not looking as I'm expecting, but I will keep adding hours into it until, probably I run out of hours, and then I'm fucked. But then you learn on not to do that. And now eventually it's like I see something, it's like, yeah, that's definitely not gonna work. I'm not gonna even gonna try it. And then just try to go to the secure thing. And maybe that's not gonna work either, but at least you already minimize the situations on, like, okay, if I was gonna try two or three techniques, maybe just try two. If I was gonna try three techniques, I'll just try two, that I know one of those is gonna work. But don't do the third one, because that's just gonna be a time consuming. But yeah, you have to also need to learn how to how to let that go. and how to move on with things or try different things, or even a word like just something that you cannot achieve. Just be true to yourself and be like, dude, I cannot do this. Like, not at least not within the time you're asking. And that for producers and supervisors, it's gonna be, it's gold, because like I don't get mad when someone comes to me and say like, hey, I cannot do this. I see the other way. I kind of applaud them, because it takes, so, as an artist, maybe your ego, it's a little bit damaged because of that. But I will say, don't, like, just let it go. It's like any other thing. It's like if asking someone, um you know going back to the soccer thing, like if you play as a defender or as a midfielder and you ask that guy to go and be a goalie, it's like maybe he's not gonna be good at it. Probably he can do it, yeah, but is he gonna save goals and grab the ball as he's supposed to? Maybe not. But
Yeah.
when someone comes to me and he's like, hey man, sorry, this is gonna take me, probably it's not that he cannot do it, but he cannot do it within the time that is expected. And he
Yeah.
will say like, yeah, this is gonna take me longer. Then I'll be like, okay, thank you, don't worry, and then I'll just move on to the next people, and then I'll assign to that person something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
that's fine. Like, that's great. It's as an organizer, as someone that is trying to put the pieces and move things around. That piece of information is key. So as an advice, if you feel like you cannot achieve something, don't be scared. And if you're scared of telling your lead or your supervisor, then that person that is in charge probably shouldn't.
yeah.
I will say that's it, man, because then he's an asshole.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm coming to you, or like if you're afraid of telling something because he's just gonna be mad or whatever. Yeah, it's not right. Like, in my case, I will be like, okay, let's say we don't have anyone else to do it and you are the one. At least give them the tools, or give them the specific directions, and really kind of guide him. And you as a lead, if you were expecting that person was gonna do that 100% right, and you didn't need to like uh, put time on it. No, it's like, at the end, it's your responsibility. If you're assigning him that to that person, once you already know that he might not be able to achieve it or finish the work, that means that it's, at the end, it goes back to you. It's your responsibility, because you are putting that person in that situation that he didn't need to be, and he told you, right? And if like, we are humans, like we need to be empathetic, and that's for me, that's one quality as a good leader.
Yeah.
The empathy on knowing, on put the person in a situation that he's not ready for. um you know
Yeah.
so yeah,
And then also
that was
to,
a good
to
point.
to be able to put the person in a situation where they're like uncomfortable, but with some coaching and support, they can actually deliver,
Exactly,
and then
yeah.
they grow. I think that's
Yeah, yeah, eventually, yeah, like you will let them go easy, like, slowly, but they will feel, at least that's my point of view, that they will be they will feel that they have a support, because they know that they cannot achieve that task, and then when they start doing it, they know if they are screwing up a little bit, or having problems, they can go back to you and ask, and
yeah,
then you have to be there to support. So yeah,
yeah, that's a
pretty
really
much.
good point.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Do you have any other advice for like new leaders or people that want to become leads, or like advance
Mhm.
more in that leadership aspect?
Um, I mean, I would say just be open and listen. Um, and those points, I mean, you know, I would say have the integrity, have ability to delegate, communication, self awareness, gratitude. I will say gratitude is really important, because you don't know mentally how much that person it's being affected or it's been motivated. So you need to how do you say, yeah, you need to to help that person feel good, or make them that, like, they need to feel that you understand that they are doing a good job. And I'm not saying that you have to be a cheerleader or anything, but just recognize when they are doing, when they are doing great. When you see a good version or good stuff, just be like, hey man, this is looking awesome, you are doing a great job. That's it. Like, it's not an obligation, but I've been with people that I know I'm doing, like, I've been with leads or supervisors that, they just, okay, thank you, and it's like, man, come on. I've been working on this, like, a month or whatever, like 2 days or whatever,
Yeah.
1 hour, and putting all that I have into this. And but yeah, I mean, it's you, as a professional, you also have to understand that you're there for that. But also, it's good to make someone feel good. So I
Yeah.
will say gratitude and thankful, and be like, hey guys, thanks for everyone. If the company supports you, maybe give some type of prizes, gift cards, whatever. Eventually, I will say, some type of recognition is always, it's always welcome. The learning agility as well, trying to identify that, what I was saying before is like, you as a leader need to identify who's agile to learn, or even you, like, be able to, because I have that also, when an artist comes back and says like, hey Ed, I have this, and I didn't know what, if it's like a new tool or like a new way of doing things, I'll be like, oh man, thank you, this is looking cool. Okay, now everyone, we're gonna do what, um, you know X guy is telling me, or is showing me, because this is gonna help us, to do a better job. You
Yeah.
know, be humble in a way that it's also good to take in new stuff that can help, the team.
Yeah.
The influence as well. Be influential. Be a positive role. Someone that, be a good example for your team. You know,
Yeah.
and respect. I would say,
Yeah.
just respect everyone. Try to be, empathetic, understand their situations. It's hard because sometimes you have a situation where you need to finish something, and you need that person to finish the shot or finish the task, whatever, and then that person, for X or Y reason, can't, like, they have a personal issue, or they just are just sick or whatever, and then, you have to behave respectfully and understand the situation. And at the end, it's not up to you. Like, you will just go back and try to do your best, or maybe reassign that. But, you know, it, it it's not a bad thing. Like, that that always happens. So yeah.
Yeah. But I think that gratitude thing is something that I haven't heard a lot, but I think like that, and I guess it can be really hard when you're sitting in dailies and you just see, or like talk to new artists, see new shots, to actually remember that they put their like effort into this, and they might put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And also remembering my own, like, the really good leaders are the ones that are like, thank you, you're doing a good job. Or if you're struggling, like, thank you for hanging in there. Like, that's a
Yeah.
really awesome point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I will say, and that's something that, it also helps you to connect with them, because they will be, um oh, at least these guys recognizes my effort. And who doesn't want to be with someone like that? Right? It's
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end, that creates a good environment, I think. But yeah, I mean, in my case, I like to just listen to them and try to help them as much as I can. And if I can't at that moment, I will just let them know, like, hey man, sorry, I'm busy doing this thing, but I'll get back to you, or just poke me later. um they also, it's a back and forth thing. um
Yeah.
but yeah, it's quite a task and a job, I will say. And I will say it's not for everyone. um because I know people that are great, like, they've been working, many years. They are in the best studios, right? And they just want to do art. They just want to do shots. They don't want to lead. They don't want to supervise. They could. They have the experience. They could. They have the potential, but they don't want to. And that's great. Like, I think for you to understand and know that maybe you don't want to do it, and or you will not be the best at it, it's fine as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
um yeah.
Cool. Well, what are you trying to, like, what are you working on in your leadership or like in your professional life? Is there anything that you're like, I need to get better at this, or I'm trying to improve that, or?
I will say patience. And that's not even just like in my leadership or my work. It's like in my life. You know, I have two little kids, and I've noticed that patience is key for everything. So they are my best teachers. You know, so when I'm expecting something from someone, I just remember that when my kids did something, I'm like, okay, yeah, probably should be more patient or try to be, um, you know, calm at the situation, and try to understand it. That's something I'm working on. Communication as well. Um, Trying to learn, like, as you can hear, like, English is not my first language, so sometimes that can be a little bit challenging. So trying to read, trying to learn more words, trying to improve my vocabulary as well, my accent, whatever, and I'm just trying to say this in the most respectful way. As I said at the beginning, this is like a you know worldwide industry. Sometimes you get people that they barely know English, in this case, if that's the language I'm communicating mostly, and it's hard to understand them. So maybe you need to create with that specific person. Something that I have is, I have a lead that is from Korea, and the other one is he's a Latin background. So I try to, the idea is that we can have, when someone is having a hard time to understand them, they can jump and kind of translate. But that's something that you also have to be aware, and you have to, you have to have that on your list of potential things to be open.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot be mad, like, especially right now. It's like, actually, you need to create the channels of communication and be open to, like, oh shoot, I don't speak Korean, this guy doesn't speak Spanish. Okay, let's just grab someone that knows, and maybe have them close to it, so the communication flows better. um so yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it you cannot, how we say it in Spanish, you cannot cover the sun with one finger. Like, you have to know the situation, that maybe that person is not gonna learn or improve their language, the English speaking, um, from one day to another. Like, it's something, it takes time.
Yeah.
So just have to be open and be aware that, okay, yeah, that's not an issue for me. Actually, um, I don't really mind, as long as I have someone that can speak the same language. It's fine. It's not a big issue. Or me in Spanish, we have a lot of Spanish speakers in the studio, and we've noticed that it's always better to have a lead or a supervisor that speak Spanish to communicate with the people that speak Spanish. And then when something is kind of mistranslating, we will have people jumping in and making sure that the message was clear, and the other way, like, us to management or whoever we need to communicate. It's that's key nowadays, I would say. But yeah, those are the things that I'm trying to grow, as well, and improve.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And then one last question, the hardest one. Like, how do you balance life with like two kids and working in VFX? Like, I'm in the same position with one
Yeah,
small kid.
well, yeah, I mean, thanks to the remote work right now, I feel like, in my situation, that's something that it's been key. Like, um having the opportunity to be here when I'm needed, that's just like a game changer, right? So
Yeah.
that's one thing. Try to balance it, because also, right now, if you are doing overtime, um you still need to have times to, free time to do your other stuff. So in my case, I'll just try to accommodate my hours in a way that that will fit my wife's schedule as well. And she also works. It's key for our family that we both work. But we talk, and when we try to align the hours in a way that she can cover for me or I can cover for her. And when I'm not available, I cannot work, I'll just let them know, and they are open to it. They know, people have lives. So that's a good thing. That's why I love where I am right now, that they understand. It's like, hey, I have to do this. Yeah, sure, fine. I can come back at night, log in, do my things, do QC or do whatever, send notes and emails. And I will see from artists as well. Like I'm not close to like, oh, you have to be in the seat from 9 to 8. Yeah, we expect like people to be there pretty much every day. But if one day they cannot do overtime, and then they can log in back later, that's good too. So it's a balance that everyone understands. I think as Noah's, and I will say that's a culture thing in the studio. It's not even something that is me. It's a world, like, not worldwide, sorry, it's a studio wide. Like, we understand that a lot of people have lives, which is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, do what you gotta do. Like, I don't care. I mean, not that I don't care for them. It's like, I just really don't care if you have to step out or be here. Like, as long as you can deliver this on this day, or do your thing, within the expected time, I'm okay. Like, I'm not, it's not that crazy.
Yeah. And maybe it actually
Yeah.
helped with everyone working from home, that you actually see their living room, or like they have a kid coming out and interrupting a meeting.
Yeah.
Or so it makes it more easy to understand that they actually have lives outside of work.
Yeah, it's been fun though. But yeah, I love it. I'm pretty happy about everything. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's cool.
But I think we covered a lot of really interesting topics, and you had some really really good advice. And
as I told you, I mean, I think we can go over and over, like over hours, talking about the same thing, and we will never end probably. But
definitely,
I'm glad that I'm happy to talk to you. You're great.
It was really, really good. It was felt like a really nice conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time, and maybe we can do more episodes
for sure, man.
later.
Anytime.
We have a lot to talk about. All right. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and that you got something useful out of it. I know we went a bit all over the place, and I will try to be a better host next time. But hey, I'm a beginner. I'm trying to learn as I go. So anyways, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.